Alright, so this is gonna be just a charting session, just going through random charts, analyzing them, saying why or why I wouldn't trade them. And I'm just gonna let it free flow, no structure or anything. So AMD can see a double bottom here on the weekly, that's super nice. Daily also presenting that, but daily just doesn't quite feel ready yet with this candle. I feel like it needs a little bit more time to consolidate here. Just came out of this range, immediately back up with quite a large bar, and then an inside candle after that. I don't know, maybe I would like a new low below this candle and then a recovery after that. So yeah, not really a good candidate in my opinion. On the 60, we're also just coming out of this ish range. First candle out of that, don't really want to go long. Coming out of a mini range-ish structure, even though it wasn't that nice. Futu, I think I'm just gonna do this and it's gonna be easier, yeah, for me. Okay, Futu coming back to test these levels. That's super solid. 2 candles out of this mini range on the daily. That's nice. Got a bit of an extension to it. We have 1, 2, 3 to 4 consecutive candle extension, about an ATR back to 9 approximately, and we have a reverse head and shoulders ish pattern, so I like that quite a lot. Unfortunately in the pre-market we can't really see anything solid. There's just some amaze coming up above us. I'd need to see something more substantial intraday or in the pre-market to trade this. Maybe after the retest I could have traded it, but the 5-minute buy then seemed a bit too extended for me. How big is the pullback that we got there? It's 67.20, 60, so that's 1.2 bucks move, and we got around 40 cents pullback, so that's around 30%. That's a relatively okay pullback. It just seems a bit too extended for me. SPY at this time, which was 10.07, was on a bull run. Yeah, maybe could have taken it along with that, but not my favorite. And we were in the middle of this range, or we would have been in the middle of this range when I would have taken it, even though the level was relatively nice. I don't really like playing in the middle of ranges. Google, I'm not sure if this is at all-time highs, so let's just check. What was the date here again? It was 24th of June. I think it was at all-time highs. Let's just go on the weekly. Yeah, it was at all-time highs at the 24th of June. So that's quite nice there. All-time high is not extended on the weekly. Had a relatively okay pullback, although I would have liked it to be near the 9, more closer to the 9. Range getting broken. We already had a break which failed. That ain't super nice. So we broke that, quite high volume, much higher than this previous fake break, so I like that for a good conviction. ABCD pattern on the 60, and we have this structure where there's a range and then just a mini peak out before that. Not my favorites. Oftentimes we get like a breakout and then this mini peak will where a lot of sellers are probably anchored, will just reject price at the open, which is exactly what happened here. The range was a bit too wide, could not really get an entry off of that. What I marked in this chart was this entry around here. Don't really like entering on bottom of ranges when we've already done a fake break in the other direction. 20 touches nice, 200 touches nice. 15-minute 50 would now be above us in the bottom of the range entry. Yeah, I probably just wouldn't. I would just skip this trade altogether. Microsoft. Okay, so this is week 3 after the break, considering this is week 1, this is 2, and now we're playing for week 3. I think this is entirely possible. I think it's also gonna be an all-time high. Yeah, exactly, trade. So that's super nice. Daily pulled back to 9. I think it's a completely valid pullback counting from here to here. It's approximately like 50% pullback. So that's nice. Now we get a confirmation candle. Can expect another green candle above this one. On the 60 we can see we have this 2 range structure which there are several ways to play it, one of which could be to play the upper range. If we get some extension, which we did, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive candles going down from the top to the bottom. Although on the 5-minute and probably on the 15-minute, you can see that there was this mini pullback before that. I don't really like playing after these. It did give, or it did work out. It didn't really give a good entry for me. I would have liked a cleaner confirmation candle here, like a hammer or something. But the extension and the volume push was nice. Didn't capitulate or anything. Can't really capitulate inside of range, but yeah, it was just a very, very mini climax that I liked. A bit more heavier volume on the last push. MU, okay, so not so extended from the 9, approximately half ATR or half a candle extension from the 9 on the weekly. Daily had like a run, then a very violent pullback, and the confirmation candle on the 20, retesting this level approximately. Not my favorite. Maybe could play some momentum plays to the long side, or we could just play this level if there's like a pre-market pattern there, which there was. Unfortunately, we came back into the range. Not even sure why I marked this up. There was no, I think I saw this range as an opportunity to be played, but don't really like that way. You don't really have that solid of an extension, no volume, nothing. Could have been played. I mean, nothing super bad about it, but there's nothing super solid about it either. For a scalp, I mean, just a bit of an overreaching scalp, bit of a volume. Climax there, could have taken an entry here and taken it back to this mini 1-minute range or VWAP, or could have just trailed private buyer lows where I would have gotten stopped out around here, which is the same as this mini 1-minute range. BBY, okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 consecutive candles to the top of this weekly range, which is 200 MA as well. We actually broke it and rejected. What has to be noted is that this little push was on relatively higher volume than the rest of the candles, but nothing super major at all. This 3-day push is what made the volume spike. So yeah, we set up an ABCD. Would have liked a bit longer or bigger pullback for the continuation, but this continuation happening on relatively lower volume, still higher than I'd say the average in this past few months period, but nothing outstanding at all. So we pushed out, rejected. We are now coming back. We have this nice level on the 60 and the daily. Also, that was a peak out high on the daily too. We have 1, 2, 3 consecutive 60-minute candles into that. And intraday, we are 3 consecutive candles on the 50-minute chart and just a lot of consecutive candles on the 5-minute chart. Can't really see any clear volume patterns. It's a bit all over the place, like it is usually on these shitty NYSE stocks. I'm guessing it's an NYSE. Anyway, we're right at the level I could expect maybe a little pop, definitely not longer than that because the larger time frames say that it's more of a short trade, but the 60-minute chart and downwards from that say that it could be taken for a bit of a pop. Goddamn, I didn't want to do that. So we get into here, not really getting separated from the 9, which I would have liked, nor is it curving at the bottom. There's a nice distance from the 5-minute 90 MA, but yeah, I just wouldn't really take this for anything. Now, I don't really like this mini 1-minute confirmation, like why would this little price action stop all this? And yeah, it did because we were at a level, it happened to work out, but it wouldn't really be in my system of level plays or range plays. Having entered though, let's say for some reason I would have gotten a nicer entry or a nicer confirmation and I enter, probably due to the previously mentioned fact of weekly and daily against me and only having a 60 down with me, I would have taken at least a 50%, if not a 75% partial at the 9 MA and would have held the rest for VWAP or maybe this level, which I'm not sure why I marked. Yeah, it's not really a good one. So yeah, probably 50 to 75% here and left the rest for VWAP. Chewy breaking out of not a range on the weekly, but the structure, breaking this pivot high nicely. Some nice higher volume bars. Very clean ABCD pattern. I really like that. After high volume moving bar, we had two very low volume days that couldn't really sell off, tried to, but couldn't really. And now we've set up this not 3-bar play, but 4-bar play-ish pattern. And the fourth bar ended right on top of the first mover day's high. So that's a very clean level. I absolutely fucking love it. We touched the 20 before takeoff. We got the fake break, so that's super nice. SPY's not really of interest here. Next key levels on the weekly are somewhere around here. A bit below our current price, which I'm guessing is around the 29.50, 29.80-ish, which I don't really got to worry about because the ATR is about $1.5. So given how it has a relatively high RVOL, I'm taking it for a full ATR move at least. So that would be 28.50-ish, which is somewhere around there, or maybe a 5-minute pattern against me, because that's what I do on these relatively higher volume mover stocks that just get some nice volume and nice patterns. So easy entry off of this level after the fake break. Unfortunately didn't zoom out on a 5-minute enough, but just nicely getting tighter around here. And this level got fake broken. 50 MA here, 20 MA here. 200 was a bit lower, but that's still a super good trade. Could have gone for 2 hours, maybe even 4, given how nice every time frame was. So entry around here, just like the arrow said. Would probably put my stop loss here. Don't really like to get tight stops on stocks that are usually not so liquid and tend to jump around a bit near the open. If it were more liquid, could have gone with a more aggressive stop around here, but yeah, that also just makes it harder for me to get bigger on this thing. So anyway, as I said, could have held for $1.5 move, which is the ATR, or a 5-minute pattern against me, which happened to be this lower high, which would have gotten me out. Maybe could have gotten end of day. I'm not sure what the RVOL was up until 4 o'clock, but in after hours it seemed to be still elevated, so that was cool. Yeah. BAC had a relatively nice move and now is ranging at the top. I wanted to play it for a range play at the bottom. I really fucking hope this was him, because it's very ugly 1-minute confirmation, no separation, not from the 5 either, it's just going parallel with the 9. It's just an easy dismiss. Google still rocking all-time highs. Now we've got a clean break. Nothing really stopping us, except for this 60-minute. Don't really like how wide this range is after the open. Could have maybe taken an entry. I really like these sell-off and stop entries where we just free fall into the open, waterfall sell-off, and then take the fake break and recovery of the open. Unfortunately, we already kind of did that in the last minute. I'm not a big fan of these. Probably would not have taken it here. Anything other than that is out of my plan. These lower highs that I'm marking and then this entry, yeah, it's just super ugly. Don't really want to play inside of this bigger range. As I said, maybe an entry could have been taken here, but not my favorite. HPQ, again, a large move out of a very large range, over years worth of range, and now putting in a smaller little channel around here, the bottom of which coincides with this very nice 22 August pivot high. I'm guessing I wanted to play the bottom of that, which we got out of, and I probably would have wanted to play this little wick down here, but it's not really my plan. Would have liked a better extension all the way from the top to the bottom of 35.22 around here and taking an entry off of that. Okay, oops. Where am I? Okay, Tesla. Okay, so seemingly putting in reverse head and shoulders-ish pattern. I like that once it's putting it in, it has this range which now we're breaking out of. Next level of resistance is this mini peak out around here, and after that this initiation sell off high, which is gonna be this, which is exactly what I targeted, 199.95. Very nice breakout. Don't really have a lot of room to play until this 198.81 peak out level, but there's a nice ABCD on the 60-minute chart. The pre-market has a range which got broken out of. Maybe could have taken an entry around here and set my stop below this range. That wouldn't have given me a great risk to reward, so not a viable trade for my strategy. We got back into the bottom of the range, fake broke it. This entry, my first one that I had on live, was actually a super shit one. I don't really want to get caught in between two ranges, even though it got into the first one, reclaimed. I still have this to deal with, so I don't really want to be doing that. Trading buddy of mine actually took it after the double bottom here, which is not really my favorite after we fake broke both the upper and the lower range. Came back down here, no obvious volume signals. Don't really like the fake break, as I said. The recovery is nice here after the fake break of this 5-minute bar, but yeah, it's just not, I'm not comfortable taking risk against something this solid, given how we don't really have a lot of room to work with, and we have a lot of resistance zones ahead, which we've already rejected once, twice, and now 3 times. So yeah, not my favorite. Absolutely shitty, ugly stock. Should not have traded it in the first place. Easy dismissal. ABMB, somewhat of an ABCD pattern, but erased almost all of the move. I'd say around the 70 to 80% pullback. Not my favorite. What's nice about it is now it's bouncing from the 50 MA, which is a spin line, around here. We do have this resistance line ahead of us, not really nice, but we do have a bit of a gap fill on the daily to take care of now that we're above this entire thing and breaking out of that. So that's relatively nice. Maybe could play it. This is the high marked by the blue dashed line, and we're coming back into very large wicks and fake breaks of that level. Yeah, maybe could play it. Not my favorite. I probably wouldn't take it now because of the weekly and the fact that we have these gappy choppy candles. Yeah, the large stop here was definitely a good choice. This was only a simulator trade if I remember correctly. The ad was unnecessary. It was more of just ebb and flow stuff, not a nice higher low forming. Even though it seems that way, it shouldn't really give me any more conviction on the trade, let alone stop tightening. And my target, as I said, was around the gap fill. We got parabolic, we got extended, and we also got nice volume spike around here. Or not volume spike, but just an elevated volume period. Maybe could have taken it out around here. My all out was at 153, front running the gap fill. We could have gotten all out here after this parabolic move and the fake break at the top. Also fake break the 5-minute bar nicely, but I think I was right not to do so because it wasn't really telling, or at least there was no telling volume that it would just completely reverse and dump on me. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Let's check June 28th ABMB. So that was around here. June 20. Wait, what was this? 24. June 28th. Jesus, I'm embarrassing my. Oh yeah, this is the weekly chart. That's why it's okay. That's a bit embarrassing. Anyway, yeah, here we are, a bit more clearer here. June 28th, we got up to 152.97. That was the high, or sorry, 93, which, yeah, so that was high of day. Anyway, could have held till end of day, still would have gotten a relatively nice trade on it. But yeah, would have ended at 151.66. Yeah, so not so nice trade after all. Anyway, FLNC, can't really tell much from the weekly. It's within a bigger range. Daily seemingly bottoming here around a somewhat okay-ish level. I see what I wanted to play. I wanted to play 60-minute range play. Level was relatively okay. Don't really like these peak outs that are scattered. And I also don't like this mini fake break to the other side of me before that. Wouldn't really play stuff after that. 1 minute wasn't really enough to stop this whole down move, which didn't really go parabolic, was just parallel with the 9 EMA, not showing any signs of reversal. God damn, I accidentally exited again. What trade was this again? I think it was yeah, FLNC, or no, was it Dickenji? Dickenji is pretty much the same situation as FLNC. Basically the exact same thing around here. A bit better confirmation and a bit better extension from the 9. Actually, a really nice extension from the 5-minute 9 EMA. Not so much in the 1 minute. Volumes okay, not crazy. But yeah, I would dismiss it for the same reason as I did FLNC. Okay. Yep, so let's just crack on here. Guild, so I can see this has some nice swing levels. Plus this initiation support, which I would mark at 65 actually. Rejecting the 200 MA and this previous little swing low. Now retesting this high. So I quite like these type of stocks that are just ranging and something lights them on fire. I'm not sure what the news was here actually, so we just go out and retest a very obvious level, which also coincides with a moving average, so this guild is relatively nice, although the 60-minute not really turning that well. But these kind of daily patterns often get something that looks this way, which is a very nice level. That first gets kissed from the top, then from the bottom, and then from the top as well, and we can take an entry around here. Unfortunately, it's a bit smushed together. That's how I took the screenshot, but I hope you get a point. Unfortunately, we had a lot of resistance lines ahead, being this level here, this level. We also had, I think this was the 50 MA coming up ahead of us too. Not really a nice one, but the trade actually did work out against SPY, which is impressive. So this was the level that I wanted to play. Here, first kiss from above, second, third, now kissed from, it didn't actually get kissed from below, it just consolidated around there in pre-market, which is, I think, a bit too aggressive to say, since the pre-market was basically non-existent, but that's where we got pinned right at the open, fake break, exactly at the level. Could have taken an entry here, a stop around here, and let it ride until this level, which I marked as 69.55. So yeah, could have been taken. Not really a big fan. Wouldn't really take something like this in the current market conditions, where it's basically ripping everything up. That's not super certain or not very individual. But in a bull market, which I think we were at the beginning of July on SPY. Yep, exactly. It could have been taken. So let's just move on to the next trade. Triple M. I remember this trade. It was a shit one. Somewhat of a rangy structure, but putting in higher lows and higher highs, although the higher highs are a bit lame. Nothing super strong there. I just wanted to play a range low level around here. Only have one consecutive candle extension here. 5 minutes a bit more nice. And I relatively like the 1 minute, but how it's turning, putting in very small candles, could have a better entry would have been around here, but don't really like how we don't have an extension from the 9. Volume's a bit all over the place. It's just very second rate on all levels. Even the level itself isn't that clean. We had this below, this below, this. I don't really like range plays where the levels are like so scattered. So yeah, this is just a no-go from the start. MPC, again, wanted to do for range play, only one consecutive candle extension on the 60-minute chart. 15-minute didn't even have 3. I don't really like this fake break above this level working against me. Yeah, it did work out. 1 minute confirmation was relatively okay with the curving. I would have liked a bit more curving from here, like a few more candles with higher lows and then taken an entry around here. But yeah, with the aforementioned fake break on this, then the not so extended time frames, I'm just not a big fan of it. 500 nanometer extension is nice though. Okay, Moderna. Yeah, so yeah, this is one that the mentor of mine was watching. A bit of extension on the weekly, nothing super crazy, but no pullbacks for 2 candles trade. No pullbacks for around 2 candle extensions here too, but there is an inside candle on the second day. So not really my favorite, but we are at a nice daily area with this level and this level being put in, or having been put in. We got a nice move yesterday all the way from 123.20-ish down to 118, which was about a bit less than an ATR move, but that's quite okay. Didn't really get a big pullback, which is what my mentor and I were watching it for, and then got extended with this. So the previously mentioned sell-off and stop pattern was in play, where we just free fall into the open, get a fake break of the last candle, could have taken an entry around here with a stop around here, very tight, could have played it back to PDC-ish, or maybe these previous levels, given how nicely it just snapped back on relatively high volume. But this is then definitely one of the riskier plays that could be played. Oxy, okay, having a move on the daily and now ranging. Don't really like playing the bottom of the ranges where we had previously an up move, now forming a range, and now the bottom here. I usually like to play the tops because of the extensions. I like to play the bottom when it's not so extended, so this maybe could qualify for that. I'm not the biggest fan of this fake break against me here. 590 extension is relatively okay, nothing outstanding, but as I marked already on the 1 minute chart, I just don't really like how it got to a much more slower trend down after this file and pulled into it. Usually on stocks like this, I like to see the velocity increase and then either a capitulation here on the 1 minute chart with high volume, or in another scenario just very tight curving with multiple mini 1 minute candles that signify to me or signal to me that it can't really push lower, and then take an entry off of that without any capitulation whatsoever, which Uber didn't really qualify for. Apple, okay, could play for an ABCD, not the nicest pattern, don't really like these triple upper wicks and the lower highs, but now that we are above this one, I think an entry could be taken. Relatively nice ABCD here, holding the 90 MA. What's so beautiful about this chart is this level around here. This was relatively okay-ish range. I'd say it's about 6 out of 10. But what I liked about Apple was the ABCD that was set on top of the range, and now a mini channel that's resting right on top of this level. So that's actually quite beautiful. We got a little bit of fake breakout out of this mini range that I marked on the 5. You can see it better here. But then a much larger fake break to the bottom side out of this level into the 20, into the 200, not into the 50. Unfortunately, that's against us. But a real nice volume spike as well. Could have taken an entry somewhere in the middle of the range once we really claimed that. A stop loss. Could have gone aggressive and placed it here below the range, so if we come down again, then that would tell me that the range wasn't really holding that well. But given how we have this little peak out here, I probably would have put my stop loss below the after open fake break, holding until this level on the 60-minute chart and daily. I could have gotten a, I'd say, around 3-to-1 risk to reward. Not my best, but definitely something that could be taken because it was a nice setup. And I think I'm gonna end it here. Don't really want to make too long of a video. About 30 minutes I think is relatively okay.